for the foreseeable future, Meta is always going to be the best paid advertising platform, right? Like we have one client right now who that's all they're doing is just Meta. And it's like some days you crush it. And then yesterday, all of a sudden their sales were literally cut in half. Today, guess what?
It's back up.
It's back up. But that's just like the name of the game. Nothing will change unless you do things different. Yo, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Unstoppable Marketer podcast. With me, as always, Mark Goldhart. Mark Goldhart, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Wonderful.
We just got back from a long trip.
Yeah, we were just in Argentina.
Argentina.
Yeah. Visiting the team.
Visiting some of the team. Went to a game.
Yeah, we went and saw Team Argentina play Bolivia in a World Cup qualifier.
Yes, we did. That was incredible.
And it was one of the coolest experiences of my life.
Very different from an American sporting event.
Yeah.
Being at like a national team game, they're playing Bolivia. Messi, the greatest of all time,
scores
a hat trick.
Yeah.
It was a historic game.
Yeah, like there couldn't have been a better outcome of a game that we went to.
Yeah,
6-0.
No one was mad. Everyone was just happy.
Yeah.
It was phenomenal.
Election season. What are we? T-minus
20 days, 23 days? I don't know.
No, I wouldn't even say that. It's probably like 18 days.
So guess what? Your ads will start working again. Congratulations.
And then they won't because Black Friday will hit. And then they will.
They will.
Yeah. No, your ads will work.
They're working now.
They'll just be pretty. Yeah, they are working now. But if you're wondering why they're not working as good, is that fair?
That's fair. Since summer. Well, first of all, let's just talk about last year, a non-election year.
Yes.
2023.
23.
The average, from what we have gathered, all the data we've gathered from 100 plus accounts, it's the average CPM increase last year from January till now.
Yep.
In 2023. So January to November was only about like 10 to 20%.
Yes. Which is natural.
Yeah.
Especially going into Q4 because Q4 is generally
and November shoots up even more, but like from January until end of October. This year CPMs have just been higher than last year in general. So like we've seen about a 50% increase in CPMs. There's a lot of reasons for that. Like we could talk about ASC plus campaigns, and there's kind of been a skew for retargeting and whatever, but nonetheless, on average, it's been higher. But what's crazy is your CPM has gone from January till now. This year, the rise has been 100%.
Yes. Crazy.
And from your summer season, it's gone up 30% till now. So we're talking June, July, August. Last year, it had only gone up 10% from summer season. So yes, like the CPM cost, just the cost of placing your ads has gone up substantially. Some may argue that targeting has gotten better.
Sure.
And so CPMs do not matter. We know that some people like to make that argument.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, it's just obvious that it is harder.
Totally. Yeah, you could go and jump in and look to see it. Okay. To really understand how targeting's gotten better, you would just go look at like your CPCs too, right? Have those increased? And they have.
And your conversion rates.
Yep, and your conversion rates.
So yes, you might be getting something reported on Meta that says, oh, you're doing just as good as last year. It might not feel like it. So, but if your cost per clicks have gone up, if you're spending the same amount as last year, but your cost per clicks have gone up, but your conversion rates haven't gone up, then
you're getting less clicks, you're getting less sales theoretically.
Then either your paid channel has gotten a lot better and your organic traffic has gotten a lot worse, which guess what has happened in a lot of accounts.
Yeah.
Organic to reach. Everyone here knows like your organic reach is just not even what it used to be.
Oh,
most are feeling that.
Yes. Most people are for sure.
So we're not saying ads aren't working. It's just that the entire environment and ecosystem has shifted.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. So what do you tell brands?
What do I tell brands?
What do we tell people?
Well, it's a little bit more nuanced than this, but we have generally advised people to spend. And in fact, it's right now is one of the better times to spend more, irregardless of election season. I'm not saying it's harder now because of election and CPMs. There's just more cost to be in the system, but your best cohorts. So your August, I mean, even July sort of, but July, August, September, October, like those are your best cohorts of the year.
Yep. And what he means by that is cohorts are the people who buy within a certain month as a first time customer.
And then come back and buy again.
And then how likely are those people to come back and buy again?
And they're your best because they all come back for Black Friday.
Yeah. Yeah, and October notoriously is the best of those.
Yeah. So they buy at full price in October generally, right? Or maybe a slight 10% email discount, whatever.
Sure.
But their chance of returning is really, really high.
Significantly higher than most months.
So generally, if you look at your numbers, you'll figure out that it's worth paying quite a bit more to acquire someone in October because they will come back and buy off of your emails in November.
Yeah, the promotions and things that are, especially if you have now listen, if you've got a product that sucks and you are...
Then it just sucks to suck.
Yeah, and you are just a first-time customer acquisition machine, then maybe now is not the best time to spend.
True. Yeah, like if you have a problem solution product and you're a one-trick pony, then unless you have a good angle with gifting that product,
sure,
maybe not.
But for the most part, now is a great time. Yes.
And in fact, we have some clients, this might be a hot take. Roll the drums. Maybe, I don't know, maybe it isn't. We do have some clients where we spend far more money in October and September than we do in November.
Very true. Not a hot take.
Because the cost of acquisition for these certain customers is just not.
The juice isn't
that
worth the
cohort
squeeze.
has always traditionally just sucked. Like they don't come back. They just come for a discount. The first timers in November.
Yeah, they end up losing more profitability in November versus
So November is a crazy good profitable month for them.
Yes,
because we don't really focus a ton on acquisition. It's more of, hey, yes, we will acquire customers, but we're not trying to push the boundaries so much that we're losing money on first purchase.
Yep. All the more reason to marry finance to marketing, to understand things like that, right? Because most people will just look like, oh my gosh,
we did so much revenue.
My cost per acquisition went down. But you're like, well, also you had 30 or 40% less margins due to your discount, and those people will never come back. And so you didn't make any profits on the first-time customer, and you're not going to make any more profits.
Yeah, that's an interesting equation that sometimes you don't take into consideration, is that when you discount, right? Like when you have a 40% discount, that only affects your profitability.
Well,
like your margin doesn't get better. Like the cost of your good is the cost of your good.
Right. Yeah. You're not getting
like, discounted. So it's only cutting into your profits.
And there are some times, I mean,
unless you're doing a ton more volume, like those deep discounts don't necessarily benefit you. Now, we can talk about Black Friday if we want, but yes, you should generally be doing discounts because people expect it now. However, I think some people just don't take that into consideration. So why that matters is your cost per acquisition. If it goes down, if it's $60 and it goes down to $30, that's great, but you're actually not, like that 40% discount or 30% discount is all into your profit margin.
Yeah.
So you might not be making nearly as much money as you think on that customer.
Yeah.
Or any money at all.
Yeah. The hope is that the volume.
Yes. And those customers tend not to come back very, very well.
Yeah.
From November.
Yeah. So spend in October. October is a good time to spend. I know it doesn't look like it is, but generally it is. And if you want to know for your sake if this is true for you and you're a Shopify brand,
Granted, October will be over when you guys listen to this, so
Yeah, it's true. That's true. But
tough titty said the kitty.
that's right. Tough titty said the kitty.
I hate
My
that.
father-in-law says
hate
that.
saying.
I never heard that until I married into my family.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Tough
kind of
titty said
gross.
the kitty. And I say it all the time now to my kids because I just think it's funny. But if you want to look at that, just go into your Shopify has a cohort analysis. It's a new, it's not that new, 18 months maybe, a tile in there that has a cohort analysis. You can jump in, you can sort it by all sorts of things. You can sort it by returning customers. You can sort it by total revenue. Go to total sales, look at the last year, see what happened last October, and see how many of those people who bought in October came back and bought in November. The darker the blue or purple, depending on...
It's purple. Violet, if you will.
I thought blue. Like a purpley blue.
Indigo.
Yeah. Nonetheless,
I'll take it.
It's a blue or purple. We digress. So, what's a couple things that are happening right now?
So yes, sucks to be advertising right now. It's election season. Things are costlier.
And things we didn't say this. Things are also, if you're in a swing state too.
Oh, it's even worse in swing states.
Yes. We pulled
so
those
like
numbers.
35% on average has gone up from the summer. It's like 55% it's
Yes.
gone up in swing states.
Add like an extra 20 points to your swing state. 120%.
Thank you, politics.
Thank you, politics. Luckily, most people, when you think of the swing states, they are generally like, if you were to go look at brands like audience or geographical analysis, those states generally don't tend to be most
Tens, yeah, it just depends.
brands' biggest, heavier hitters.
Well, it depends on what you're running, but yes.
True.
If you're running broad, generally
Right.
speaking, broad will favor the highest population states, which are
Yep.
just going to be California, Texas, Florida, and New York,
Yep.
which are not swing states anymore.
Yep. But even like your like highest converting rating states, sometimes,
Yeah.
oftentimes are not those places. So, but nonetheless, were you going to say something before I navigated topics? Hot topics.
Hot topics?
Hot topics.
No, just that. Yeah, it's hard. All I was going to say was you might think it's all because CPMs have gone up, but we have actually seen Meta is performing really well. And
Totally.
a lot of this has to do with like organic shrinking. So it's not uncommon to see brands' organic reach shrinking this year and over the last 2.
Yeah.
Brands that used to be able to count on X amount of reach and engagement and likes.
Yeah.
It's just the game has changed.
Which doesn't mean you shouldn't fight to get that back,
Maybe.
in my opinion.
Well, I think you must change what you view as success.
Sure.
I think a lot of brands are still stuck on the idea that like you're going to post a picture and you're going to get X amount of engagement or reach from that picture from your followers, which just doesn't happen.
Yeah. Not only do you have to
Where
change
it's more
the
of like, hey, I
definitions
got to
of,
release reels. I got to try these new mediums. Like maybe live is part of it. Like live puts you right in front of the stories, like you're front and center. So you don't have to hope that somebody sees that post. Like if you go live for an hour, you'll be one of the first icons that people see.
yeah, in the story section.
Yeah. So I think there's a different play now where in the past it was post, you'll reach all your followers plus more,
Yeah.
or do the giveaways and then, you know, like
Yeah.
expand your reach, where now it's, if you want reach, you're going reels and TikTok. If you want followers to interact, you're going regular posts and stories and lives.
Yeah.
So you
and
got to
then-
think about like current audience cultivation and new audience cultivation.
Yeah. And not to mention, obviously it's been Reels and TikTok from a reach perspective, but like a lot of people's Reels and TikTok that used to get good reach are no longer getting good reach. So the other caveat to that from the organic perspective is You just have to do different things.
ABT.
Always be testing. Baby. ABTB. Always be testing, baby.
I just don't like the term baby.
Baby.
I don't like it.
But what I was saying back to this is,
I'm kind of old timey. I say honey.
You have to be. You have to be doing different things, and that's kind of where I want this topic. I think it's a good segue into.
Well, why don't you just talk about you?
Me?
Yeah. You just went through this.
Oh, are you talking about my content?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's okay. Sure, I can talk. So, okay. So I started creating content in 2019 or 2020. And my content at the time, even though video was becoming popular, I was creating carousels. And they were almost like information guides.
Right.
You know, so like very
5
high
steps to get better engagement.
High value, like, hey, here are 5 ways you can get your CPM lower.
Oh, I forgot about carousels. Those were so big back then.
Yeah, and I just used Canva and it crushed it.
Yeah.
Like absolutely crushed it. High value, lots of shares, lots of saves.
Until it didn't.
And then all of a sudden it didn't. And the reason why it didn't is because Reels came about. And so then I started to then I took my carousels and just turn them into talking head, so I would still say, hey, here are 5 ways, but it'd be a camera like this. Hey, 5 ways to lower your CPM. Number 1, number 2, So I essentially, the content didn't change. It was just the format that changed to video.
Mm-hmm.
And then that absolutely crushed it until it didn't. And then I started doing like story lessons over B-roll, voiceover-y stuff.
Yes. Okay.
And that crushed it.
Until it
didn't. And then podcast clips until it didn't.
didn't.
And that is just the name. I have been through.
So what is that?
Hell and
carousels.
Carousels, just
kind of repurposed carousel format, but with
video.
reels.
Yep. And then I did
kind of voiceover with B-roll.
B-roll that was valuable.
Yeah.
And then I did voiceover B-roll that was like
just stories.
Lifestyle stories.
Yeah.
And then I did podcast clips. Podcast clips was kind of between there.
Yeah.
Like throughout that worked really well. And now, unless you're saying something insane, a podcast clip doesn't really do anything. Mainly because this podcast, as big as it is, it's not. Right? So like a Jay Shetty.
But to be fair, I see less and less and less podcast clips.
Well, yeah, I think
even the comedians, like you used to see those comedians pop up in your feed. It seemed like 1 every 3 scrolls was going to be a podcast from a comedian. And now I don't tend to see those very often.
Yeah. Yeah. So what did you count? 5 or 6 formats?
That's 5 so far.
5 formats.
Now
of
the 6th.
High growth. And then the last 18 months for me has been really rough.
Dry.
Just very dry.
40 years in the desert.
And I will admit my dedication and trying has been less. I started shifting some more of my dedication from a content creation to like a written LinkedIn style. And that did great and has done just fine.
Which did good until
it sometimes
kind
doesn't.
of plateaued.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now it's like, okay, cool. What do we do? And so now what I'm doing is I'm going back to very high value, and I'm breaking what businesses and brands are doing down, why it's good or why it's bad.
Which all of a sudden you've seen
a growth,
like a 10x increase in reach and engagement.
Yeah. And in many times much bigger than that in a couple times. So we will see. But the point is, Meta works. It always, I shouldn't say always, but for the foreseeable future, Meta is always going to be the best paid advertising platform. However, what is going to happen is when it's the only thing you're dedicated to, the only thing you're putting attention to, the only thing that's driving traffic, you are just going to be beholden to bad days and bad weeks and potentially bad months due to whatever's happening in the world macroeconomically or even what's happening just internally at Meta. You're just, when you don't have anything else driving distribution, you're just at that mercy, right? Like we have one client right now who that's all they're doing is just Meta. And it's like some days you crush it. And then yesterday, all of a sudden their sales were literally cut in half. You go into Meta and you look and nothing changed. Today, guess what?
It's back up.
It's back up. But for whatever reason, their conversion rate went from 1.8% to 0.8%.
Yeah, it did.
So just axed. Spent hours looking to see what's going on. But that's just like the name of the game, right?
Yeah. It is the name of the game when you're paying to play.
So,
but, you know, I know we hash on this a lot, but I think the overall theme here is as organic gets smaller and you become more dependent on paid, which guess what? If you're growing fast, that's just going to happen anyways.
Of course. Yes.
Because like eventually most of your acquisitions coming from paid.
You can spend more money than you can test and find new ways to hit organic virality or better distribution.
Yeah, and you're just hitting like economies of scale at that point.
Yeah.
So
yeah, exactly.
Cost per acquisition becomes less of a concern.
Yes.
But if you want to help yourself, just know a lot of people give up on that. Like they see it shrinking and they just keep doing the same thing and hoping things will change. But nothing changes if nothing changes.
And it's not going to, guys. Like I've done
Hashtag Theo Vaughn.
Yeah. I've done it so long now that it just doesn't work. So change. Let's talk.
But it's good to hear that. I just want to point that out because you've gone through like 5 content strategy changes in 4.5 years.
Yeah.
Or 4 years.
And there was like an 18-month drought of like nothing worked too, you know. I probably should be through 7 because I didn't change and adapt. But so
we're not saying it's easy.
So speaking of difference,
we're just saying it's worth it.
There's a couple things that are trending right now that I think are interesting to call out of this exact topic. Like nothing will change unless you do things different. Right. And when you look like everybody else and when you act like everybody else, you're going to blend in like everybody else.
Right.
And so one thing that I thought was really cool that's been trending really since the beginning of the month or kind of first week of the month was Wendy's announced a collaboration with SpongeBob SquarePants and they created the Wendy's Krabby Patty. And the reason why I think this is really cool is for those of you who don't know this, Wendy's on the burger fast food chain is always number 3. It never hasn't been number 3 or lower than the 2 I think anyone can guess. McDonald's number 1 by a long shot. Burger King is number 2. And then it's Wendy's.
Yeah. Wendy's is the redheaded stepchild. Literally.
Yeah, exactly. But Wendy's on the fast food chain.
I can say that
like,
I married a redhead, so
is normally
I can
like
make the jokes.
Number 7. I got a couple redheads in my family, sister-in-laws. So the reason why, if you go back and look at the last 8 years of Google Trends, Wendy's has never once in Google Trends been searched more than Burger King and McDonald's. Maybe a couple times with Burger King.
Okay.
But never with McDonald's. Ever. Like McDonald's is light years.
Wait, when did they do this Krabby Patty?
On the 8th.
On the 8th of this month?
If you look at the 8th and 9th, those are the first 2 days that they have a higher search volume than McDonald's.
Funny.
But it exploded because SpongeBob.
And then Trump had to go work at McDonald's.
Which we'll talk about in here in a second too. SpongeBob.
Poor Wendy's, they just always get outshined.
Well, that's what's really funny is you see McDonald's, the moment Trump does that, just skyrockets in trend.
So funny.
So anyways, back to Wendy's here, okay, and the Krabby Patty. They take something wildly nostalgic and they do something very, very different than Wendy's is used to doing. And they do a collaboration. And so it gets every millennial, like anyone who is probably 35. I watch SpongeBob, but only because my little brother did. And if he had the TV, I'd watch it with him. But that was never the show I picked to be on.
You're just wanting Power Rangers, huh?
I'm more of a Rugrats guy. Tommy Pickles. You didn't know you always say you were too poor for cable.
Never had cable.
Yeah. Sorry. I guess I was just,
Just living the high life.
Guess I was just better than you.
Did you have a TV in your room?
No. I did when I was in high school. but it's because I bought it with my own money.
Oh,
Yeah. Okay. So, anyways, nostalgia sells. Even someone like me who has not eaten at Wendy's in 15 years went and bought one. So they're selling to at least. Did you buy one? Not yet. He will. He's going to. Grayson will.
Wendy's is just not good though.
Well, there's a reason why it's on the lower end of the list. So great job to Wendy's because they just did something different, and it got not only Google search term, but if you go to TikTok and you just type in Wendy's patty, like Krabby Patty collaboration, millions and millions of views. It's very similar to the whole Secret Life of Mormon Wives thing that we talked about. Just like Hulu was really good at just finding something that
was already trending.
Like they just knew was going to trend, and boom. It's kind of like when was it last year that McDonald's did the Grimace challenge?
Yeah, they did.
Very, very similar uptick and lift
on TikTok.
That
was where the main trend was happening, I think.
Yeah. It was like you would eat a Grimace shake and you would die essentially.
Yeah.
And people were creating these skits around it, and it blew up, and Grimace shakes were crazy.
Which you would think would make
popular.
it less popular, but
yeah. So doing different things is really huge. Going into Donald Trump, right? Just because it's election season.
We gotta bring back our analysis of the campaigns.
Yeah, so this is like going into the analysis of the campaign. So we talked a lot about like, okay,
how has the game shifted?
Yeah, there's this like, okay, Kamala has taken the more traditional route. Kamala has taken the more traditional route, which has been lots of TV advertisements.
Well, she's raised more money. She's outspending him 3-1 in traditional advertising.
The only thing she's done differently is she's gone the celebrity route, right? Which is like not quite new age.
I don't think that's new age at all. I just think, celebrities I think used to be maybe a little less political.
Yes.
But celebrities have always rubbed shoulders with politicians, so I don't know if that's...
I totally agree.
I think I would say that's still traditional.
I'm going to give her that as new age.
I'm not.
I'm going to give it to her.
I think she's running a very traditional campaign.
I think she is too, but that's the little caveat I'm going to give her.
That's fine.
Agree to disagree.
But celebrity endorsements, I'm pretty sure, have existed for a long time.
They have, 100%. But the landscape of how celebrities distribute their content is different. Very much.
Yeah.
I
guess they have direct audiences and they don't really rely on publications in that sense.
Exactly. That's why I'm going to give her new age.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay. Trump has been...
We'll agree to disagree.
Well, and Kamala has done... She did a Call Her Daddy podcast. So
she did do one podcast
She did one
appearance.
new age podcast appearance.
I think she did. No, radio shows really aren't new age. But
No. Negative. Not going to give her that one.
So nonetheless, heavy traditional.
Yes.
And she's outspending 3-1.
Yes.
Right. Trump has been doing very new age stunts, trolling. Because I think trolling is very new age too, right? Like these influencers are always trolling each other.
Well, trolling is big because other people talk about it.
Yes.
In the new age form.
Yes.
So
the whole reason why he was at McDonald's, for those who don't know, is because Kamala said she worked at McDonald's.
Came out that she never had. Well, McDonald's...
What's come out is McDonald's doesn't have any employment records from the 80s.
Right.
She has a friend that says she worked there.
Got it. So people are saying...
So she's never... It hasn't come out that she, quote, didn't. It's just there's no actual...
evidence, I guess.
Evidence of it.
Outside of anecdotal.
Yes.
And so Trump decided...
So Trump has been saying that she hasn't. And so part of that troll... And also, like, Trump has always been a big McDonald's guy. Remember that funny, hilarious... picture of him like with all the McDonald's bags in the White House?
Yeah, he loves it.
So as a troll, it appears to be a troll. He went and worked at McDonald's on Kamala's birthday.
Yes.
Which many people don't know. It was Kamala's birthday.
Yeah. And he like wished her a big happy birthday. That's like blowing up.
Because the whole news, everyone just started melting down about the publicity stunt.
But what has been the number one talk on both the left and the right, and just social media in general, right? The left is talking about it as what a terrible political stunt, how tasteless.
Yeah, obviously there's the partisan takes, for sure.
And then you got the right side who's talking about it and this is the coolest thing. And then you got the like, just the more new age people who are talking about it and like, can you believe that Trump did this?
Yes.
Kind of thing. But that's where he's winning from a polling perspective.
Well, I think this goes back to our whole argument. What's going to win?
Yes.
Is it the traditional or is it the new age? Like there's still value. We had Russ on.
Yes.
And he still showcased in the marketing world how traditional can pack a very heavy punch.
Especially from a branding perspective.
Yes. But we had argued on this podcast that the new age is really just what marketing is now. It's not that traditional, it doesn't exist, but it doesn't pull what it used to.
Yeah.
And I think we're starting to see that in the polling. You're starting to see from poly market odds to swing state polling, like Nate Silver's. I know he kind of screwed up in the last couple of elections and people don't like him anymore. But him and the RCP average now have Trump ahead where he was behind since their first debate.
Yeah, by relatively significant margins.
Yeah.
Not just like...
Yeah, he was down, I think it was like 48 to 52 or 46 to 54.
And now what is the poly market now?
Now it's flipped. Well, poly market's up, and again, that's a betting market. I don't know how much weight goes into it, but he's up by 24 points.
Which is insane.
Last time I saw. And then the RCP average, I think he's now up 53 to 47. And you guys can fact check me on that. But nonetheless, like those trend lines are happening because with the new age approach of Twitter and social media and doing these like trolling events, his team has figured out how to dominate headlines without spending money.
Yes.
So they're being outspent 3-1.
Yes.
And now the lesson in here, regardless of your politics, is you are always going to go against competition that can outspend you.
Always. There's always somebody bigger than you.
Now, I'm not saying you always use the tactics of the Trump campaign.
Yeah.
But there's lessons in there for us to learn as marketers of how do you capture attention, how do you pick fights in the arena to dominate headlines or to draw attention to you. And you can do that in, obviously, I think, more tactful ways.
Yeah.
You don't have to be mean about it necessarily, but you do have to pick enemies in marketing. You do have to go out against your competitors. You do have to showcase, hey, why are you different?
Right.
So the reason why Trump's so polarizing is because everyone knows why he's different.
Yeah.
So he plays on that. His team plays on that. They're always going around talking about it.
Yeah.
Now, for marketers, yeah, you're going to go up against much bigger spenders than you.
Yeah.
But a lot of these big spending companies are stuck in what we would call as like a traditional thing. And guess what, guys? I don't know what's going to happen in the election. Like Kamala very well may win.
Sure.
And I don't think it's going to be a surprise if she did. At this point, it's a coin flip.
Yeah.
Because we're talking about just like such small margins of error in voting. Like we're talking 10,000 votes might swing state one direction or the other.
And that one swing state can swing the entire election.
And that one swing state might decide the whole election. Well, but nonetheless, it's just to say, hey, look, this guy is getting so much attention all the time. I'm not saying that it's always savory what he's doing, but as a marketer and as a company, how can you learn from that and say, hey, we might not be able to spend $100 million this year.
Or even $100,000.
Or even $100,000.
Yeah.
But hey, we can go out in the wild and film. Like right now in the election, guess what's super hot on TikTok and on Instagram? It's like, I see these from both sides of the political spectrum. They're doing these like roundtables, not the political candidates, but like these influencer type people
who are, like they'll go to college campuses
or they have like a round table and they do these debates, or like they're going around on campuses asking people who they're voting for.
Yep.
Like you can do that with a product, right? Like how come we don't see more people going out and saying, hey, this is my product. This is this product. Let's test it out and get some live reactions.
Yeah.
Like you can go out into the wild, get real human interaction.
Yeah.
That's not fake. That's not, when we say authentic, we mean there's not a lot of polish around it. It's like,
Sure.
it seems like it's all real and authentic.
Sure. Yeah, you may be staging it and curating it to get hopefully the outcome you expect.
Right.
But everything else is going to be relatively real.
Yes.
You know, the reactions, whatever. I mean, if we want to take an example of somebody doing this, I just thought of one outside of like Trump or politics. Have you heard of what's going on with Vital Farms, the egg company? They're like the no antibiotic chicken. Like, I'm sure
I know who they are. I haven't heard
okay.
what's happening.
So forgive me because the details are going to be lost a little bit in translation, but the point I'm going to make is going to be there. So apparently there's been some, what seems like lobbying against Vital Farms as they are scaling and growing and putting a dent in the egg industry.
Big egg.
As not as clean as they say they are.
Okay.
And so the way Vital Farms has attacked back is they've said that the owner is coming out and going on every single podcast in the health space, and he's exposing what antibiotic free means and what organic means and how you can get those what do you call them, seals of approval, and how they're pretty much garbage. Like, he's coming out and saying,
I don't know if the antibiotic one is, but I do know about like free range and grass fed
You'll
and
have
like,
to just
and like
look-
how
you'll-
you can.
yeah, he's essentially saying they're completely unregulated. Essentially, all that you have to do is have like one chicken that it fits the bill, and you can say your whole place is that way. Or
Yeah, that's mind blowing.
Yeah,
but I do know that a lot of those seals, like
Yeah.
you can game it.
So all the people who are calling him out, he's calling them out by saying, I will film and show you every one of my chickens. You do the same. So he's going out and showing how they are abiding by what the law should be.
Not the letter of the law loophole.
Exactly. And he said that I've called everyone out and not one person is willing to do what I've done.
Big farm.
You know? And so
With
like
an F.
those are ways you can do it, right? Like you can, like, that's a really kind of, you know, it's not necessarily trolling, but it's just this way of getting other people to talk about something. He's turning something that's could potentially crush his business, you know, and he's never gonna have the money to outspend and be better, into something
But
where
he's
now
gaining
tons of
all
people
of
are
the
talking about
headlines.
Vital Farms. Because we buy Vital Farms. And at first I was like talking to my wife, I'm like, dude, I don't know if we should be doing this anymore. It sounds like but now that I'm watching it, I'm like, actually, hold up. It sounds like this, you know, maybe they might be not 100%, but it sounds like they're much better than everyone else. So there's plenty of ways. It
Good
doesn't
job,
matter
Vital
whether you're
Farms.
political or whatever. Like, there's ways for you just have to be different. You have to be willing to be gutsy, and you have to be willing to just break the norm and say, oh, I'm not going to have this image look like the last 10 that didn't do anything. Maybe I'm going to give a hot take.
Yeah, just throw some things away and try things different, because the news cycle is always shifting. Mm-hmm. Like, that's another lesson to learn as a company from someone like Donald Trump, is like, you would have thought Donald Trump would not be around in 20, like, you know what I mean? Like, how many
Right. Yeah.
how many stories have there been about this guy, or how many things has he done?
Indictments. Yeah, you'd think that this guy is long gone, yet he's still just
But
like
a lot of
throwing
people do
haymakers.
not care about like that 24 hours news cycle, because it's just on to the next thing.
Yeah.
So when you're trying new things, and this was our advice to the Kamala campaign too, right? It's like, if I was advising the Kamala campaign, it's like, you gotta get out there.
Yeah.
Like, you got to get away from these scripted performances. You just got to go out and be a real person. We got to get some real interactions, because even if you screw up, it doesn't matter. Like, the cycle changes every 24 hours.
Yeah. And guess what? They listened to us because she went on the
they
Call Her
did
Daddy. They were their lifetime listeners of the podcast.
Yeah, they are.
They were like,
They
oh,
should.
hey, Mark and Trevor are really smart. Should we talk to Alex Cooper and get on the Call Her Daddy podcast?
Get out there even more. Like, that's all you can do in this
Yeah.
age of marketing. Is the more exposure is always going to be better, unless you're, there's some things that
doing
aren't going to be
something
good.
completely crazy. And
Yeah, there's obviously a line there, but
Yeah.
I don't know what that line is sometimes.
yeah, I agree.
Like, remember Jake Paul, like, went to that one forest and filmed
Oh,
like
yeah.
dead bodies and stuff.
Yeah. That was the line.
It wasn't the line, apparently, because it didn't really affect him.
Well, I thought it did for like a few years.
I don't think it did.
I could be wrong. I have not done enough research.
There's a huge I'm not saying to do that. Like,
Yeah.
I think that's pretty bad, but nonetheless, what I'm saying is like 24-hour news cycles. If you're a company, try new things. Yes, you're going to make some mistakes, but
yeah.
And the easiest place to do that is ads, honestly.
Yeah. Great testing.
You don't have to put it on your front page. Test it in ads, see if you can get some engagement, and then maybe start incorporating that into your organic.
Yeah.
So that's it.
Yeah. I mean, good luck.
Election
Don't
season
stop
is
spending.
finally almost over. We're all excited for it to be done with.
If you're listening to this episode and you're still not quite 100% sure what you're going to do with Black Friday, like go back, 4 or 5 episodes and listen to our Black Friday episode. Still not too late to do some of the things we talked about in that
Almost,
one.
though.
Almost, but still not. The next episode, yes. Yes, it will be. But don't worry. No fear.
But don't worry, everyone. Election season's almost over. I'm telling you, it'll be a lot better after election season.
Everyone will be happier, too.
We're all going to be happier. Everyone's going to be so much happier.
Regardless of the winner. That it'll just be a
like
breath of fresh air that this is over.
The finality of
Yes.
it. Like, let's just...
Yes.
Especially for marketers, because, man, these CPMs suck.
Yes, they do.
But Meta is still working, so don't doubt Meta. But it'll be great when we don't have to be competing with political ads.
Yes, I agree. Awesome.
Okay, everyone.
Thank you, guys. We will see you guys next Tuesday. Yeah?
Yes, we will.
Farewell. Thank you so much for listening to the Unstoppable Marketer podcast. Please go rate and subscribe the podcast, whether it's good or bad. We want to hear from you because we always want to make this podcast better. If you want to get in touch with me or give me any direct feedback, please go follow me and get in touch with me. I am at the Trevor Crump on both Instagram and TikTok. Thank you, and we will see you next week.